Hello everyone, I am so happy that you found me and that I found you. Today I'm going to be talking about emasculation. You see, behind me I have the word masculation. So to be emasculated, you first have to be masculated. And so that word turns into maleness, masculine, which we associate as athletic or hunters or someone that should take charge and protect. We call them muscular. So this word could be used as muscular, and emasculation is the taking away of that. So I'm going to get started on this, and the first thing I want to say is please like, share, and comment on my videos to encourage me to bring new and different things. Please in the comment if you want to hear about something, talk about something, discuss, hear a voice about it, just let me know and I will do those topics for you. So I'm going to start with the Bible, and of course it's going to be the creation story, and it's a particular reason why I'm doing it this time, because I want it to be well known, this particular thing. It says, when the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some and ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her. And that's important. He was with her when she partook of the fruit. Right there with her during the temptation by the wily serpent. He heard the conversation that was happening. He was right there. And so when she took hers and ate it, then the eyes of both of them were open. It says like simultaneously, both of their eyes were open. And they realized that they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. So that is very, 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 very interesting. We call the original sin was eating from the tree. And we say the woman calls the fall of man. But I have always took the stance of the man was given a command of not to eat from this tree, but of what trees he could, by God himself, to his face, personally to him. He told him, don't eat of this tree. The day you do, you will surely die. Next is, he let an outsider come into their home area, house, acreage, and encourage the woman to do something bad in the home area, in the house. While Adam was standing there listening at all that was said, he didn't step in and say, yo man, don't be talking to my lady. Or he was like, you're trying to disrupt my marriage and my relationship with God. You need to go away. But it said the weak one succumbed. The strong one never did anything. So I don't know how she got to be the weak one and he was the strong one when he didn't come to the defense of her from an outside force, encouraging her to do something wrong. And not only that, then all she had to do was say, take some. I always make a point of that. The serpent and her had a dialogue back and forth, back and forth. He had to convince her. This man that was there, Adam, who knew better, had explicit instructions, who was set up as the head, the first of everything, above all of God's creation. And this man sat there, stood there, whatever he did, listened to the conversation, getting a tea, and then he ate some too. He didn't take it and say, woman, let's not do this. Let's not. He said nothing. The mutest man, mute, not expressing one thing, not saying one thing. Okay, so if I have said this on probably 2 or 3 videos because I want to get that point across. It's so easy to bash women, and Christianity has done it the whole time. But then they say turned to man as head of the household. He never assumed head of anything. He never assumed head of anything from day one. And we're still saying it's the woman that is the problem for his actions. Just like he told God, that woman you gave me. And so that's what we're saying. Women are emasculating men. Women are doing things, tearing the person inside out, taking his masculinity. I think I said musculinity, ain't no muscularity, but his masculinity, and that's not possible. It's no more that you can take my femininity from me. You can't take my femininity from me unless I give it to you. You put me in pants, I can smoke cigars, I can do all kind of things and still be feminine with that on. Feminine is a state of being. Masculine is a state of being. It should not be contrived by outside forces. It has to be your decision, your understanding, your definition of who you are. Your definition of who you are. And we make those choices from birth until we die, defining ourselves as who we are. We can change at any time and go another direction, or we can maintain. And there's a lot of people that maintain status quo, doing the same thing over and over, wanting a different result, or saying, I wish I could do this if somebody would let me. You're waiting on someone to let you be who you are. It's not going to happen. You're not their responsibility. You're probably oblivious and ain't even on their radar, anything you're thinking, but you're waiting for them to let you assume a position. All right, that's it. Let me get into this a little bit more. Let's see what the definition to emasculation is. Emasculation of man. Men being kept from their role in the family dynamic. Men being kept from their role in the family dynamic. They are undermined. To be made weak or ineffective is to emasculate. To be made weak or ineffective. Emasculation is when they take cues from the woman and bend to her will. It's also rendering a man not masculine, including trying to humiliate him. And that's how you make him less masculine, by humiliating him. The literal definition of emasculation is removing of the male's penis and scrotum. Removing of the genitals is the first definition of emasculization, and now they use it as a hot point word that you understand and know that not physically but emotionally, socially, his penis and his scrotum is removed, so he cannot act in the testosterone state of who he is. Now, I said the literal meaning was to cut off. Literally. So now we use it as a word to cover, I feel like I have no power. It's funny how that power for men is associated with the penis and the scrotum. That's the place of power. We know in the Bible, Samson's place of power was his hair, right? And so now men are saying, without my genitals, I am no longer male. So that's what that means. If they are removed, I'm no longer a man. And we understand that he is still a man. Still functioning, still of value, still of worth. But when you tangle up everything into one expression, there's so many more expressions of masculinity. Even if the person do not have a penis and balls, he can still be a man. He can still make decisions of how he carries himself and how he operates in the world. So, I'm just saying that. And did you notice that in the thing it says, he is kept from? To be kept from something seems like you would be put incarcerated in prison buried in a grave. And I can't think of anything else that really, really keeps a determined person from being what they want to be. Many people talk about the homosexualities coming and changing the definition of what manhood is, and that's not true. These people say I'm of a certain embodiment of love relationships that are not heterosexual. So even though things are going to be taken from me, like my job, someone may fire me at this job and I have to keep going. But that's what you do, you keep going until you get a job. So that isn't a threat to existence as a homosexual. They will call me names and they will harm me. That has been done also. And as you can see, it did not change. No one took their homosexual tendencies from them, which are, as many say, they have no choice in but to be who they are. They have no choice but to be who they are, and people cannot take that from them. So I find it strange that men believe that women take their masculinity away. What do we do with it? All right, I'm married. Let me take my husband's masculinity from him. And now what? He's a blob. His brain is not gone. His ability to think and do and analyze isn't gone. I cannot reach over there and take his masculinity. Now, I could be verbally abusive. I can say a lot of stuff, but that's an abusive person. That's a person with problems that just cut and cut and cut and cut until they make a person into nothing. And that won't be just directed at her husband. That'd probably be directed at all kind of personal relationships. That she does make people feel inferior, that she does talk down to people, that she does bring in negative energy. It won't be specific to him. It won't be. That's a person with their own difficulties. And for a functioning person not to be able to see, hey, this woman is very abusive and it's not for me. Instead of staying and saying, my wife won't let me be a man. She just won't let me be a man. And I just stay in the house not being a man. And I wish those mean women would stop taking our masculinity and doing what? Okay, let me go on because this will end up being a long video. Okay, so we got that. And we see that in the old Western society, it gave men a set of heroic values. We can go back to tribal times, the Indian chief. In Africa, they had tribalism. Ireland, I don't know what the other people had on the Caucasian tip so much, but they all had a king and stuff, and they looked to that male. The king was an expression of manhood himself. And tribal leaders, they had to fight for their position. Of course, they was born into being a prince and then a king when the father died, but they were always trying to struggle and protect their territory by being aggressive and killing and standing to the end. It would be shameful if a man was the head of his tribe in his village and a woman came that day and he like, oh, you're so cute. Then she took all his manhood. He could no longer rule. He could no longer think of what's the best for his people. He just sat there and became mute and useless and kept, when people said, king, king, what is your decision? Whatever. I am emasculated by her. Don't really make sense, do it? I hope this will get people to start thinking a little bit about their home, like I'm supposed to be the man in my home. The same thing. Those tribal chiefs were men of their village and their home, and they maintained. He would not have been in charge if he was one and the people was taking his masculinity from him. they would boot that and move on. And I'm sorry, some people need to be booted. And it's your choice to be that person or not. But constantly pointing the finger, like in the Genesis chapter 2, pointing that finger don't get you anywhere. You're still going to get what you're manifesting. What you put out, you're going to get in. If you're putting out nothing of strength, of character, of care, you're not going to get it back. There's no way it can return to you if you never put it out. So if you're putting out excuses, all you're going to have is a life of excuses. Okay? All right. So the old Western society gave men a set of heroic values: to protect, to provide, and to lead. That's what we saw in old John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. They pull out them guns so fast, pow, 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 and they shooting the bad man. Bad man always got it. He was going to get it. And you didn't mess with no woman folk or children, but most of them was robbers. The old person to protect, provide, and lead, most of them was up against some thieves and robbers and stuff. But when you come to their home, they met you with that shotgun. Who are you and what are you doing here? It wasn't, the lady wasn't going out doing that. It was him going out there doing that. Then when they needed meat, it was the man who went on the hunt, right? Rabbit, squirrel, whatever it was, birds. I don't know what kind of birds they ate. And he brought it home. He went out, got it, and brought it home. He know if he did not go out and do that, his family would starve. So it was really dependent on him to be a hunter, to protect even from wild animals, to provide food, and to lead. And that's what he would do. If it was a bad area or terrible, people packed up and left. They had to go where water was. They had to be somewhere with natural resources of game. And he made those decisions. They couldn't afford to sit around and discuss and mull over. It was this, let's to live, let's go. And that's what happened. And the woman, of course, was there taking care of the children and keeping the house clean and cooking and other little yard work, probably help tend the garden. So there were roles that people played according to their strength. And I always told my children, and I'm putting this in here, I'm saying it, this is me saying it. For a man to be able to go out on a hunt and along the way maybe jump by tigers, wolves, lions, poisonous snakes. Do you know the amount of courage that took? His whole focus was on, I must survive, kill, and destroy. Women were not, I must survive, kill, and destroy so we could eat. They weren't in that mindset. But men at that time had to be in that mindset. To protect my family, I will take a bullet. I will wrestle the bear barehanded. I will face the Indian, killing Indians in the old prairie days while you and the girls hide, or you and the children hide. It took some kind of makeup that God gave man. So he just wasn't given the instructions to provide and to protect. His DNA was wrapped in that for hunting and killing. In murdering, killing, whatever you call it. He couldn't have that compassion for animals and saying, oh my, this is probably a mother bunny with some little bunnies. He had to do what it took. While the woman was not under that kind of pressure or strain, so her mind could focus on many other things. She didn't have to be bullet target on killing to survive. She didn't have that. She had nurturing to survive. Everything wrapped up, women wrapped up in the survival of, while the man is doing the killing of. We do the survival of while they're doing the killing of. Now we can get down to dirty shooting, hunting, everything like that. But in our DNA, as I think, there's a real different makeup for the hunter, provider, protector, and leader. He has to be able to lead a group on a hunt. Be able to track and find his way back. They just have different skill sets that were put into use before the new age world where we push buttons and things happen. So what happens to that man whose DNA is to hunt, to provide and protect in that kind of situation? He's lost. We didn't lose him. We didn't do anything. Society has evolved to that most pressing courage, muscle building, and DNA was used purposefully with blind, focused mission. He has nothing to do that on anymore. So yes, it's a piece of him that's lost. How can he go with that build up and have nowhere to put it? So now he's at home like the women were. The women were not doing pressing things. Now he's not doing pressing things. So what is left for him to do? Help with the children? He's there. He's not out on the hunt. Help with the cooking? He's right there. No more Indians or other people that was seizing them, taking over land and stuff. Nobody running for gold rush, gold staking so they can get gold and get rich. It is a totally different world. Where does he get to channel his energy? Ours is still channeled in the same way. We, of course, never lost any of that. Never. We still on those basic instincts of how we survive and ensure generations to survive. But he has no path anymore for that pure just, I mean, who would sign up to be a hunter where you're always in danger and killing and the pressure to get food, sleeping out on the ground, day and night, whatever, pretty much living like an animal to catch an animal to eat, you know? So the world changed on the man. And even so, you don't get to just sit there and whine about it or point a finger and say, hey, you women did this to me. The world changed on you in your makeup. That's my opinion. No one else's opinion. All right. Worldwide, boys are 50% less likely to meet basic proficiency standards in reading, math, and science. And you're not going anywhere if you're not proficient in reading, math, and science. So they attribute it to the difficulties school-age boys face. They face some more challenges. But for at that age and time, because we got to understand what happened to the man, we do need to look back to what happened to the boy. Because the boy developed way before the man did, okay? Everybody say you're a certain age, you're 21, you act like a man. But what was that in that growth period that showed him what a man was, allowed him to see what men were, to gain understanding of men? And if that man, you man yourself, I hope men are watching this video. I hope you take a moment and look back to your youngest memory till when you became an adult, 21, when I go to 18, and tell me what type of men were in your range of living. Not that basketball coach you saw at school on exercise day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's not really a big influence. It can be a good influence, but there has to be a bigger pooling around you to make you see man. Babies get their definition of who mom, face recognition, always there, smiling. If you frown, your baby will frown too.